inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor card, Guardian Life Provider card, and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their three.
Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Canupia, for all your plumbing and electrical supplies, water heaters, filters, and water pumps, plus all parts for Gould, Pentax, and leading brands such as Cooper, Varma, BTCino, Leviton, and Nation. K-Wise Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Canupia.
Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited, number 86 Pearville, opposite the TSTT Exchange in Mayaro. We specialize in all types of meat, oils, stationery supplies, and photocopying. We also come in and take advantage. We are open every day, even on public holidays, for your convenience. TT Post Services.
Grand Diamond Hotel invites you to dine in our newest and exquisite grand opening Chai Thai restaurant situated at authentic Thai and Indian cuisine, and our outdoor terrace would be available from the 22nd of June. We can offer you our indoor and outdoor patio and rooftop restaurant dining. All meats halal. For reservations, call 331-5013-320-1093. Our email address, opening hours 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Takeaway and delivery services are available 11 a.m. to 2:20 p.m. Secured parking and excellent services.
This Wednesday, the 24th day of June 2020, middle of the week. We hope you're having a good week and you are safe wherever you are. Time to talk news and current affairs from this hour until just before 6 p.m. this 24th, the end of the month. We hope it's a good day for you and that you're very cautious and driving defensively if you are on the nation's roads. And Duki, yours truly, 975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio. And we greatly appreciate you being with us. We have a lot to share with you, and we hope you will be part of our program. Also with our colleague Shiva Parasraman, who has us on YouTube. And you can find us at RCLU 975. We're also on our website, and in addition to that, of course, on our dial, you can on the FM dial. Thank you, and Tobago, and maybe in other parts of the Caribbean. So we urge you to be doubly cautious. Less Saharan dust, and it has a lot to do with the bad weather, the inclement weather, which really is suppressing a lot of it. But as you heard in the newscast, the weather people are predicting that toward the end of the week, but maybe not as bad as we saw over the past few days. We thank you again. We greatly appreciate having you in our audience. We have a lot to share with you on this Wednesday. In terms of the politics, as you would have heard, the PNM has named the final candidate, which suggests that for the general election, the UNC is still at 16, and one expects that more candidates would be named. We have some speculation. We'll see how much we want to speculate on that. And we have some developments to do with protests by the port workers. Some of the ships, the inter-island boats, cargo and human traffic has been affected, less so today than it was yesterday. And this, the House of Representatives getting toward the end. So we expect that the government will be tying up its legislative agenda. Whatever is its legislative agenda, we don't know how much was accomplished. By the way, on other matters, the Guardian suggesting that the Carnival 2020 is on, but the Ministry of Communications has just issued a statement saying no decision taken, focusing on other matters with respect to the management of COVID-19. And after that, they will take a decision with respect to Carnival. Well, we still have some time. This is only the end of June, so I would suggest it's not a priority at this time. Those are some of the major matters we are following for you. The tropical wave, the many of the issues, some issues with crime, as always, in Trinidad and Tobago. we are also hearing some reports with respect to the government spending. As a point we have been making on this program for a while, the government spending taxpayers' money for campaign purposes for the People's National Movement. That is a matter we have been exploring to suggest is a matter that the UNC should be picking up as a national issue, because that has obvious implications for the result of the general election. We're saying that again, and we are, I think it's a troubling issue and one that the UNC as a party should be picking up. So we want to talk about that too. So all of that is worldwide 479,215 deaths. So that also continuing about the death of this 2-year-old toddler, Anaya. So among the many issues. And Duki, we thank you very much for being. Just after 5, we expect Ved Siram, our financial expert, resident financial expert, to be with us, and we want to talk, among other things, about this matter of the borrowing, where the government has just announced it is going to borrow $500 million US, and essential rates and so on. All of that is nice, but it adds to our debt stock. I'm anxious to hear what Ved would say. What we're doing is mortgaging our grandchildren's future. Well, I think we may be further mortgaging that. I don't want to do it, sir, but I want to tell you that he is going to be with us. We expect him, and we will have that discussion and others with him, and we want you to call in and engage with him. Those are the issues and more. Of course, the matter you would have heard in our newscast, the outgoing chair of Motley for her statement. She accusing essentially she didn't call his name, but the chief elections officer, Keith Lowenfield, she accusing him of gamesmanship. And she said, really, this thing has been counted and so on already. The chair of the GCOM declared the results and so on. It is just for him. In addition to that, the Organization of American States has also issued a statement on the matter. So all of that for you this afternoon. We want to get you in on the discussion at 3:13 Wednesday in the month of June. A wet one. We are in the rainy season, although, and we're hearing that the Saharan dust would keep down some of the inclement weather. We're hearing the storms and so on. So that is the good part. But it is a major rush of Saharan dust continues, and the experts tell us that we will get a big rush coming across Friday, Saturday, and hopefully by Sunday begin to ease up. So as we've been telling you all the time, be very cautious with that. So at 3:13, we want to invite your calls at 636-7547-227-5739. We have our eyes on the election, on COVID, on the Guyana situation, on the Parliament, on the Guyana election. The carnival is also a matter. So we wanted our callers have to say good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Ali.
Good afternoon, sir.
And Ms. Duki. I am the first caller, perhaps, but you'll have a good program.
Thank you.
I heard you quote Ms. Motley.
Yes.
About Guyana situation, but she also said something very, very important. She said the crime in the country is about the mental illness of the perpetrators. She said the photographer that was killed and the other man and another case, and she has to up the examination soundness of the people with their mental illness. I don't know if you heard that, and that exonerates what I have been saying for years. She said all these crimes are committed by mentally ill people. Sorry to take so long, and sorry to be the first caller.
No,
don't be sorry.
No, we are very grateful that you called us and discussed that issue. Thank you, and call us again. And we talked about that yesterday, the murder of that journalist in Barbados. And again, we want to extend our sympathy over his death. He was on assignment, and of all things too. So he's a brother journalist. Our greatest sympathy over his passing, and the Prime Minister did also. And so thank you for your call. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I just want to make a little comment about that Guyana election. I just can't count. Right is wrong, and wrong is right. And they want to stop in international forums and say, is this, all you shouldn't get in it? And we have all the international people around.
That's right.
Nobody is saying a damn thing. And this has been going on since the time of Forbes Burnham. Forbes Burnham was worse than a dictator. Sent his body to be, what you call it, immortalized up in Russia. You know what I mean? They're going to put him in a big casket and everybody could just see him. He will be paraded night and day. When they looked for Mr. Forbes Burnham's body, they found it in the back of a building, rotting away. So that is to tell you, what you do in life will even come back to haunt you in death. And my first time in Guyana, I was in my 20s. And I went to Guyana, Burnham time.
Just make it quickly, please.
Yeah. I saw a GDF, Defense Force, traveling on the soldier, a Negro guy. There was an Indian lady sitting in one of the seats. You know, he forced a lady to get up and give him the seat. Okay. And I could go, I can tell you, Mr. Ali, I don't forget on my eye some simple things. And it will tell you, if you keep watch and look at them simple things, what the hell is going on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Ali and Mr. Ant.
How are you?
This, the high rankers in this government, the how they call them, the Fantastic Five now. Faris, Stuart Young, Rowley, Sinanan, and Imbut. Them really feel that everybody is as stupid as their supporters who have them in office. You know? Because listen now, and in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund the other day, they take out close to 20 billion TT, right? Right. They say that is to fight COVID. They pay up to about, let me say, about 200 million, right? Accounted for where they go into Ministry of Health, social welfare, got the 1 million or some kind of thing like that. But in all essence, it add up to 200 million. Mr. Ali, where do you rest any more faith in my political leader, the Honorable Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, right? And by the way, we carry the same title, Prasad.
Okay,
right?
good. So you're good
so,
stuff
so,
then.
So I like kicks. Yeah. She should be able to know how to get them to answer for this, because it's billion we're talking about here. Look how much money we're talking about, and this man is short of intelligence, you know. That he keep on borrowing. That is all he know about. What is he borrowing for? To thief?
Absolutely. Well, listen to Wade this evening, this afternoon.
Yeah,
sorry,
I listen to him.
And call him.
The Ground Report. He was on our program. The Ground Report this morning.
Thank you.
You know.
Okay. Thank you, and stay in touch. Yes. Thank you very much. Continue to call us at 636-7547 227-5739. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ali and Ms. Duki.
Good afternoon. How are you? How is the weather at Long Circular today?
Well, we just had a little drizzle and it's
right.
Gone away.
Okay.
But what, Kali, is the fact that the guy who got chopped up in Barbados, at that place, I think was a president's house or something like that. And journalists happened to reach there before the police. He too got killed.
Yes.
One would have thought the man get killed, that the police would be on the scene when the photojournalist reached, but the photojournalist reached there, get killed, and the police wasn't there. That's very concerning. You understand? How did journalists reach there before the police and a man is dead?
Yeah.
You know that.
Well, they put off for something, but it didn't work for him. He lost his life.
It didn't work for him. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Not bad, brother. Now, two things. One, this thing about all this expenditure in this country, I don't know. I don't think the opposition is really working on this, you know.
Yes, well, I sometimes wonder myself.
Yeah, I'm not impressed at all. I mean, there must be ways that they could handle this. If not, resign and let the country go back to the polls or something. We can't just continue this way. And then this Guyana, from the GDF, big government go up on a bus in Guyana. I've been to Ghana several times. Let me tell you something. They're cowards. I've been there to weddings, farewell night. I went to a farewell. Some black boys come in the farewell. Every time they come, people scamper, you know. I said, what we done? Look at them, black man come. They are mash up the place. I said, mash up what place? After I sat down next to them, you know, they get up and they walk out. And sat next to them, they get up and they walk out, you know.
Oh, shucks.
These people, they allow people to bed. They force people to be that way with them again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, continue to call us, by the way, before I make this point. 636-7547-2275-739. I feel strongly, I've been saying this for a while, that the opposition must hold the government to account, not just in the parliament, but must speak out publicly in other places on the issue of spending. In fact, a while ago I was talking about the fact that they're continuing to using the banking term again, commingling taxpayers' money with PNM funding, and the UNC has to hold them to account in terms of what they're doing, and it is not just the large numbers. We must have a trickle down of how this money is being spent. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think you missed the sitting of the Senate. What today is? A few days ago?
2 days ago, the Senate, yes.
And I have to give Ms. Allison because, what's his name? The man from El Socorro that changed the religion and got remarried. What's his name? Wayne Mark.
Remember this, but go ahead.
I don't have to remember it.
Go ahead.
But anyhow, I'll pose a set of statement. I'll assume the junior finance minister, I think her name is Alison West. When she done, she blew that completely out of the water with all that. You see that same thing about money and money, because he tried to say we borrow money from a particular individual and try to find out who they borrow the money from. And when he done, he said, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, you know. So I feel like you better have a look at that and we'll see where the money was spent, right? Well spent, Amarafa. Ms. Duki, sorry, good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
And that's your contribution? Like the politician who said, oh, listen, we need a breakout because the minister said it was well spent. It meant it was well spent. Come on, Barataria.
And good afternoon, Mr. Ali, and good afternoon, Anne.
Good afternoon.
Well, look who will follow Barataria.
Bank Village.
Yes, Mr. Bank Village.
You know, I don't be surprised with that last caller, you know. You know, you say about man changing the PNN that they support is borrowing money to pay interest, not loan. They're borrowing money, you understand? And they put into power, and that is not fair, you understand? Regardless of what it is, my brother, you and I will be suffering ourselves in a dark hole, you understand? So tell your party to be real and stop taking the public fund to do their own thing, my brother, and fattening the pocket and stop talking about Wayne Mark. Wayne Mark can't defend himself, you understand?
We understand, okay.
But if Mr. Ali,
sir,
if I, you know what I mean, like a girl, religion is important, you know, and I like she, I might do the same thing. So what you please talking about? You understand?
We understand.
Do the history, my brother.
We
understand. And the history right now is that the PNM is a dangerous party to run this country. Thank you.
We understand. No, I could imagine this fella approaching a young lady and say, listen, I love you, you understand? I really love you understand? All right, we just settling your pal on a rainy day. 3:26 on this Wednesday, the 24th day of June 2020, and Duki and Ali here in the, well, I was going to say warm studio. We made it a little warm, freezing really. It is a cold day. We continue to take your calls at 636-7547-227-5739. We have a lot to discuss as we move forward. We want to hear your thoughts. Good afternoon.
Hello. Okay, left us.
7547-227-5739. All right, the Parliament meeting, they're debating this matter, the Guyana situation, this issue with respect to that became a page one story in the Guardian, and so I'm really surprised that would be an issue at this time.
But Trinis like the party, Ken.
Yeah, and people want
they don't like them. They want to know the plan ahead.
Yeah, they want to know.
Good afternoon, Sachin. Good afternoon, Anne.
Good afternoon.
Eric and Mr. Barataria religion is PNM. That is all them let's go down. Let nothing else that for them ready to understand that. So, them.
Okay.
Well, that's their right to support any party of their choice.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, we must let logic dominate. Is the matter that has come before us and in the parliament too is about the use and the expenditure and the accounting for taxpayers' money. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. The budget, that is not the taxation. It is the rule, and me didn't contribute to that. Is the nonsense that is going on. And it's time. I have been saying this for a long time, years now. Well, let a few of us get together. Not one damn body is doing it.
And you're right.
Nobody.
Yes, you're right.
I guess that these people that call, the bottom is hurting. They're either going to sit down in the expensive thing and they take the phone and they call him like they're so interested. That is a way of their protest. I don't know when people would open their eye. And also Guyana.
Acknowledge the election results. So Santoki is due to take over there. So that is a positive development. It appears that in Guyana, it is going to go the exact opposite. Decided to, as we say in Trinidad, he just ups and says, I disqualify votes just so after he was instructed to proclaim the result. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
547-227-5739 continue at 150,000 votes. This thing, there's no end to it. Asked Mia Motley for her strong stand, the incoming new strong line. Some people are saying that Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister must speak out, but I think the OAS has spoken and several others. I expect the Commonwealth would speak and so on. So how many voices we need to hear before justice is done, before the voters' will prevails in Guyana? How long? This is a tragedy. This is virtual anarchy taking place in Guyana, and the authorities, Mr. Granger has not done the decent thing, and nobody could really intervene because this remains an internal matter in Guyana. But it has to be resolved. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You see, it all depends on how we look at it, because if we look at it from the opposition point of view, you would feel because the opposition came out and said they win. And the man who's in charge.
Hey, Mr. Baratare, your time to say things that are incorrect. Listen to me on the radio. Listen to me carefully on the radio. I can't give you radio time to say things that are factually incorrect. The facts are the chair of the Guyana Election Commission, executive officer, to provide a report indicating that the bipartisan committee, bipartisan meaning made up of all members, all representative members, as per the Guyana Constitution, they brought in a result. You understand it well, Mr. Baratare? I want you to understand it well, because you just kind of assume this is not an opposition report. This is a report of the. Good afternoon to you. We lost you. 636-7547-227-5739. You could have a political agenda that is already facts are sacred things, Mr. Baratare. That's sacred things. And this is a report. I could go back and quote that. It is on the basis of that. The OAS, the Organization of American States, is not an opposition party in Guyana. The CARICOM, Mia Motley, is not an opposition party in Guyana. Good afternoon.
Ken?
Yes.
I criticize nobody, but shave a bird, man. If minister tell that guy, a dog, and say a dog is a cat.
Well,
so don't waste your bird behind here.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Ken.
Yes, sir.
Triple D.
Hi.
Why full of a bar can they educate himself? I have a 6-year-old son, grandson, and that child more educated than I thought. He said that look how that fellow talking. It's stupid.
No, don't say that. Opinion is separated from the facts. So the facts are sacred things. The facts are sacred. 3:33. Let's take a brief break and we come back.
Puzzle lovers, rejoice! Your free 24-page Newsday puzzle book is now available twice a week, only in your Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. Now you really can look forward to staying home. Newsday, independent and credible.
An exquisite Grandin Grove Road, Piaku. Come and enjoy our authentic Thai and Indian cuisine, and our outdoor terrace would be available from the 22nd of June. We can offer you our indoor and outdoor patio and rooftop restaurant dining. All meats halal. For reservations, call 331-5013-320-1093. Our email address, Chai Time. Services are available 11 a.m. to 2:20 p.m.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol and pregnancy testing, as well as all drugs along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Carry Care International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Building, Rocha Douglas Road, Barraco, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
KY's Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern and Electrical Supplies, water heaters, filters and water pumps, plus all parts for Gould, Pentax and Leo pumps. Choose from leading brands such as Cooper, Varma, BT Sino, Leviton and General Electric. Call 665-6954 for more information. KY's Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Canoopia.
Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited, Exchange in Mayaro. We specialize in all types of meats, dry goods, liquor, beverages, ice, LPG, gas, motor oils, stationery supplies, and photocopying. We also provide rentals of tents and chairs for your every occasion. Come in and take advantage of our specials at reduced prices on liquor, wholesale, and retail. We are open every day, even on public holidays, for your convenience. TT Post services are available here at Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises. Be happy to serve you.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate free all-purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canoopia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
For quality items of Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, as well as quality cash and carry supermarket, Cuba Car Park, for all your grocery items, liquor, fresh fruits and vegetables, not forgetting their bed and bath section, and kitchen appliances for your home. With so many items to choose from, take advantage of our great prices and discounts at any of our 3 locations, Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Cuba. For quality items, super quality supermarket, and quality cash.
Hurry to 3C2 Rentals, number 77 Bonaventure Road, Gasparillo, for your business and personal tool and rental needs. Available for rent: coring machines, compactors, concrete vibrators, demolition hammers, drills, saws, scarifiers, pressure washers, generators, welding units, trash pumps, hydrostatic test pumps, and so much more. We offer free transport in and around Gasparillo and at very competitive prices. Visit or call us at 650-4581 for more information.
22 minutes to 4 p.m. We continue to take your calls on this Wednesday. We hope you are safe if you are on the roads. Drive particularly defensive today because it is the roads are wet. And of course, you know, along with that goes everything else. Be very cautious, drive defensively. And I don't know if anybody has gotten a demerit point yet, any of these tickets that go with demerit points. If you have, let us know. By the way, Anne, people, I imagine, at Cora, and so on. I want to know what has been the experience of people who've been going on the beaches and the river and so on.
Some people I know right now, they are vanishing.
Well, look at that. Let's hear this caller. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Ken?
Yes.
It is very concerning what is happening in Guyana right now.
It is.
The election has finished.
Since March 2nd.
Huh?
Since March 2nd.
What is it?
Go ahead.
A result has been given. Huh? This is a serious situation. Rick Granger want to rule for life. He like Putin, Putin extending his term in Russia. You know that?
Go ahead. Okay.
It's a serious situation, right?
Yes, thank you. Well, yes. And the situation is changing as we go along. It doesn't appear like it's Prime Minister Mottley saying she's bewildered at this matter. So that is her, and we have to commend her. She has been fair and balanced in her state. Yes, she has been. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kenanan.
Good afternoon.
You hear me?
Very well.
All right. You know the election petition has gone to the CCJ?
Yes.
Right. And they ordered the GCOM chairman not to release the results until they meet.
That is, yes.
Okay, Ken. Interesting program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we are following that because we spoke about CARICOM, we spoke about the OAS, the US, the UK, Canada, the European Union, and so on, are also expressing concerns over the delay. All right, so the situation is getting no better, and because the melee continues. This clearly is an attempt, as if anybody didn't know already, or this is an attempt to steal the election. It is going on. This has to be on its place. And, I was going to say that governments in the Caribbean should put pressure on Granger to step down, but he is not going to do so unless he is forced out of government. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir. We have CARICOM, and we have all kind of com. And this man's still in power. He stand up there and looking at all part of all the countries that he borrow money from here, and stand up there. I am moving. He reminds me of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. He gets in there and he to find all kind of law to remain in power. The CARICOM, what they sign is that if any country within the CARICOM is in trouble, they're supposed to help. What can I help? You let a little pequot down there. Suffering so much people I don't want to give. You know what happened? Them boys not count.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, and we express that concern too. And I don't think CARICOM could intervene in. I think Mia Mottley is doing the appropriate thing. She is doing that, and when she speaks, she's the chair of CARICOM. She represents all of CARICOM. So our Prime Minister, whether he wants it or not, and I don't see any reason why he would not agree, but he certainly is bound by what Ms. Mottley has been saying. In addition to that, several other countries are speaking out on this crisis in Guyana, and it really is a full-blown crisis what the people in Guyana are facing. And more than ever, and I miss our great friend, Randy Deep. It is not CARICOM, it's CARIGON.
CARIGON, yes.
It's CARIGON, yes. We miss our great friend. 636-754-739 on this wet day. Be very cautious. And
very much present in the air.
Yes, but it may keep down. It's a funny thing, really, almost, because it keeps down the bad weather formation. Yes, so storms and so on. We don't have cyclones here, but in other parts of the world, it slows down and retards things like cyclones. But it is an interesting time to study all those weather patterns and to look at the pictures of what is happening. Let's go back to the lines. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mr. Ali.
Yes, sir.
I'm on here again.
Hi.
I just reason something, and the caller reason something. If in 2010, Mrs. Bicester won certain seats in the Commonwealth, and she lost the seat by 4,000. Those 3 seats. Now, could you reason how this could be? This is not a marginal seat. We have to find another word for that. Because you can't win it by 2, and the next election, you lost it by 4. So we have to find the reason why it was lost. Thank you very much.
All right, and you made a point. How do you define now what is a marginal seat in terms of votes, and should it be defined only by the result? In other words, let me explain this. In 2010, the UNC won, or the People's Partnership won Tunapuna, and I could get the figures, in 2010 and lost in 2015, something that would, considering as we head to the election. Well, how would you define what is a swing constituency? And then in addition to that, there are other things that inform swing constituency. For example, this is the result. 2015 result, right.
Tunapuna.
Esmond Ford got 59.42% of the votes. He got 11,228 votes. So the PNM, the UNC's candidate, the People's Partnership candidate, he carried a UNC. Wayne Anthony Monroe, 7,613, so 40,000.29, right? So the margin of victory, 11,200 against 1,006. Does that make it a marginal seat? Good question to debate. Is that still a marginal seat? Or should it margins of victory? You have a sense that one party could unseat another party in some of these seats, that are not even considered marginal. You have a place in some of the seats. We call some seats marginal when they may not be marginal anymore, and we ignore some seats where they may well be marginal. Well, there's Chaguanas East, for example, where Fazal Karim got 9,284 votes, 51.82%, and the PNM Sarge got 7,860 votes for 43.87% of the votes. So that I imagine. And talking about all of that, we're hearing reports about the candidates, speculation. There's speculation about the candidate for
Chaguanas East.
Chaguanas East is one.
Who's in and who's out.
Yeah, who is in and who is out is right. That's right. That's right. And same thing we're hearing about Kumoto Manzanilla.
Of course.
I saw a name. I don't know how accurate these things are. We've seen it on social media, but we saw a name mentioned today. A major news bulletin at 4 p.m. We are at 636-7547-227-5739. We're also on social media. You can catch us on YouTube at RCLU975. And you could log on to our website also, 975radio.com. And of course, the good old transmitter, you could get us on the FM
the dial.
Yes, on the dial, as they used to say a long time. So the PNM has all of 41 candidates. UNC 16. I know there has been some disappointment that the UNC didn't name further candidates the last time, meaning last week when they're scheduled for this week. I haven't heard anything. There may or may not be. I don't know. If we hear about it, we will tell you. But I know a lot of UNC faithful are quite anxious to get...
they want to get the campaign running.
Yeah, because the PNM now has everybody on to that. They have the election date. It suggests to me that all those who are opposing the PNM should have the candidates out. And talking about that, what about the PEP? I thought they were in the running too. And then there was a smaller group called Better United. When you look at the number of small parties and how they do, how they don't do, you wonder about why they, on top of wondering that, you wonder if they have to take part, why they don't announce the candidacy much, much earlier. The results are not particularly heartening. Let's take
this call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kellerman. Can marginal seat talk is politics about race, about party. Your party have a good my party. Your party, my party. You have a few votes more on you, you have a few votes more on me. But let's look at governance. Japan was the poorest country in the world after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What happened to Japan? In the 60s, the world is economy. South Korea, falling down the road with hunger. What happened today? South Korea is one of the most prosperous countries. And if you check South Korea's history, they follow the Japanese model of governance. Why it is our politicians are not trying to adopt a model that will be the benefit of the people, to deliver the people, and talk about delivery instead of talking about party. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Yeah, to that maturity, we keep saying that, but it all comes down because I see some of the positions people take. It is you seem to rationalize everything based on race and the amount of sycophants on both sides, really. So everything one party says, whether they're right or wrong, we find a way to justify it. And the other party, you find whether right or wrong, you find a way to demonize them. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
With Reverend Paul. He say, pick a model. Trinidad don't have to pick a model. We already have a model. It is called the PNM model. Thank you.
Thank you.
And what is the PNM model?
He left.
Yeah, you should have told us.
Yes, tell us what is the PNM model.
What is the PNM model, really? Yes.
What is the UNC model?
Yeah.
You wonder some of these smaller parties can if they have money to lose their deposit.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Ken?
Yes.
The PNM model is that the Tuesday after the general election, the PNM begins to prepare for the next election.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They call in, they advise the constituency to call in all the electoral lists that were used and keep them within the constituency coffers.
Right.
To be used on another election.
Mm-hmm.
When you are in opposition, you have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what is not happening in the UNC. They relax. And because it is ethnic voting in this country, on the east-west corridor, you have to develop what is known as relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you some expert advice here, I know.
Yeah, well, just quicken it up a little bit because we have a little more time. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to develop relationships. You develop relationships by going into the areas and meeting the people and developing relationships with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader must not go in a van and driving about in a van. The area holds what are known as cottage meetings. With groups of people and so on. After 6 o'clock in the night. You have to be working continuously.
Okay,
Mr. Madden worked from Sunday to Sunday with Dr. Singh.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to all over the country and developing relationships and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I would not give you more of the secret. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Quickly, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Ken.
Yeah.
The PNM and the UNC model is tribalism. Whatever they say, the sycophants support it.
Absolutely.
They
Well, you
fight on
summarize
the
it
other
well.
side, no
That's
matter
all.
what
Yeah.
you come with. You see, the whole idea is something, eh?
Uh-huh.
I think what we have to do to change this whole paradigm in this country, from primary school, we have to start teaching children about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Your rights as a citizen of this country, a citizen of the world. You don't have to depend on no politician to give you a handout, to give you a hamper. You employ
Well,
them,
you know, I'll tell you-
understand who you are and who they are.
Well, I thought nationhood that we got from 1962 independence would have helped us. It seems as though it has only reversed that trend.
Exactly, Ken.
Yeah.
It's all tribal. From then, I remember as a little boy, 1956, my father car hold on to the backseat and things. And I remember he talking about PNM, DLP. And I asked him, Mommy, what is PNM or DLP?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, sir.
And up to today, you hear PNM and UNC now.
Yeah. After all these years.
And they both are the oldest political party, and UNC keeps changing like a metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to understand that we, the people, this is our country, we supposed to be calling shots and not towing the line.
But we rationalize that on ethnic lines.
This, you know.
Yeah, quickly.
But here with the additives, you know.
At all.
Check
All
about
right.
30 years.
Thank
Check
you.
about Carib Leap.
Yeah.
We
Indeed.
have it in the Caribbean here. The tribal say, go jump off the cliff.
And they do that. Right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's go to the 4 p.m. newscast with our colleague, and we come back with more discussions. Remind you, just after 5 p.m., we have Ved Seeram discussing financial matters. We'll be right back.
Music for you, it's all about you.
97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners.
It is now time for Major News to the Hour, brought to you by Crystal Beverages Company, Super Quality Supermarket, Sheikh Elisha Limited, and the Trinidad and Tobago News Day.
This is Major News to 4 p.m. on U97.5, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio. In the headlines, no discussion yet on Carnival 2021. MP calls for stiffer penalties for domestic violence convicts. CARICOM's chair criticizes latest developments in Guyana's election. With the details, I am Aruna Bansi. Good afternoon. No decision has yet been made about Carnival. This is the official word of the Ministry of Communication, Community Development, Cultural and the Arts. The ministry today issued a statement in response to a daily newspaper report that the festival will take place as scheduled next year. The ministry said that all stakeholders would be informed of any decision with respect to Carnival. Outgoing Member of Parliament for Kumuto Manzanilla, Christine Nawalo Hussein, has called for stiffer penalties for Carnival in a few minutes ago while contributing to the debate in the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill in the House of Representatives. The Member of Parliament said the victims must be assured that help is available to them. She advocated the importance of family life. The debate is continuing. CARICOM's chair, Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, today criticized what she terms the gamesmanship over the Guyana election results. Ms. that the Chief Elections Officer, Keith Lowenfield, could cancel more than 115 votes. On what grounds or what executive fiat the Chief Elections Officer determined he should invalidate one vote, far less 115. Ms. Motley noted that the votes were already certified by the Guyana Elections Commission in the presence of political parties. She said every vote must be counted, and she urged the Guyana. The organization also issued a tough statement on the issue, saying the matter has gone on for too long. Mr. Lowenfield yesterday issued a report in which he cancelled more than 115,000 votes. The report, if accepted, would see the reinstallation of the Granger government. There is also a legal challenge to the results of the election. That matter is now before the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Central is planning a popular consensus next year, but the CSO is exploring new guidelines to conduct the survey of the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister of Labour Jennifer Baptiste Primus is taking part in dialogue with regional and international statistical institutions. The CSO is looking at new means of conducting the survey, including use of online questionnaire. The ruling People's National Movement has now selected 41 candidates for the 2020 of procurement consultant Stephen McClatchy as candidate for Labre. Mr. McClatchy was recommended to the screening committee by the Labre constituency executive. The opposition, United National Congress, has so far named 16 candidates. An 18-year-old man is expected to appear before the Tunapuna magistrate today, charged with harboring a child. This follows an investigation into a report over the disappearance of a 14-year-old female who went missing from the Faizabad district on June 20th. The police investigation led to the discovery of the minor at the home of the accused. An autopsy is being conducted into a body that was exhumed from a shallow grave at Lowlands. Tobago police said the body was cast in concrete, and there is speculation that the body is that of a missing man. Weather forecasters say a tropical wave is expected to pass over Trinidad and Tobago tomorrow. The Met Office said the tropical wave would bring relief from the Saharan dust. But a new surge of Saharan dust is expected from Friday, the Met Office said. In a look at the weather for the period of today and tonight, sunny, hazy and breezy conditions are expected despite brief showers occurring in a few areas. Tonight will be mostly clear but hazy and warm. There is significant cold levels. Persons who are sensitive to this should take necessary precautions. Seas are moderate with waves 1 meter to 2 meters in open waters and less than 1 meter in sheltered areas. High tide is expected at 6:57 p.m. and sunset is expected at 6:30 p.m. This was your major newscast to 4 p.m. on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio. Continuing next is Politics 2020 with Ken Ali and Ann Duki. I am Aruna Bansi. Good afternoon.
That was Major News to the Hour, brought to you by Crystal Beverages Company, Super Quality Supermarket, Sheikh Leisha Limited, and the Trinidad and Tobago News Day.
Puzzle lovers, rejoice! Your free 24-page Newsday puzzle book is now available twice a week, only in your Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. Now you really can look forward to staying home. Newsday, independent and credible.
Hurry to 3C2 Rentals, number 77 Bonaventure Road, Gasparillo, for your business and personal tool and rental needs. Available for rent: compactors, concrete vibrators, demolition hammers, drills, saws, scarifiers, pressure washers, generators, welding units, trash pumps, hydrostatic test pumps, and so much more in and around Gasparillo and at very competitive prices. Visit or call us at 650-2362 or 789-4581 for more information.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmacy over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor CariCare International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card, and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited: RS Building, Rosha Douglas Road, Barraco, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
A&S Hardware and General Contractors Limited of 107 Bonaventure Road in Gasparillo. For all your hardware materials from foundation to finish, no general contracting needs. We have it all at A&S Hardware and General Contractors Limited, located at 107 Bonaventure Road in Gasparillo. Just call Tiki Ali 2180.
A&S Hardware are wholesalers and retailers of plywood, an assortment of lumber, galvanized pipe, hollow section, and steel. Customers can enjoy special prices on white pine and pitch pine doors.
Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited, number 86 Pearville, opposite the TSTT Exchange in Mayaro. We specialize in all goods, liquor, beverages, ice, LPG, gas, motor oils, stationery supplies, and photocopying. We also provide rentals of tents and chairs for your every occasion of our specials at reduced prices on liquor, wholesale, and retail. We are open every day, even on public holidays, for your convenience. TT Post services are available here at Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited of number 86 Pearville, Mayaro, where our friendly staff will be happy to serve you.
4:07. Thanks to our newscast. We continue with discussions. We want to play for you in this hour the statement by the Prime Minister, who is the outgoing chair of CARICOM, the Caribbean Community, on the situation in Guyana. We'll play that for you. I want you to hear it. It's a clear statement, very well said, and very good. It's very distinctive in how she explains the position. And this is why, especially for our good friend in Barataria, who is trying to suggest that the results are opposition results, shall set you free, is the saying. So I want us to air that. We'll do that in this hour. But we continue to take your calls at 636-759 on this fairly rainy Wednesday afternoon, although indications are that it has cleared up a bit. So be very cautious.
The sun is peeping out. People at the beaches must be smiling.
Indeed. And those who made it out to the river. 636-7547, 227-5739. So we will air that for on top of the other matters, the election matter. We told you about the candidates. We are getting indication, none of it confirmed, that the UNC may be naming candidates today. That is what our sources are telling us. We don't need too much of sources to tell us that too, because the candidates have to be named. But I was talking to people, and I'm hearing that the candidates would be named, are likely to be named, within the next few days. The UNC still has named 16, and the PNM have their full slate. This Mr. McClatchy, full listing of candidates, right? So that we would see how that turns out in terms of, well, the UN. 409-636-7547, 227-5739 in this hour, we tell you. Now, Mr. Lowenfield has discarded all of 115,787 votes. That's what he just arbitrarily did. I don't know. I don't that because I do think that is reprehensible, and it is must be illegal, you know. And while all that is happening, Prime Minister Granger, I wonder who conducts the affairs of the day in Guyana. Who you know, how is the Guyana administration running during this period? I really wonder that. One would not have a situation like that would have repeated itself. 115 in the Caribbean, 115,787 is the number of votes that have been discarded by Mr. Lowenfield. He just decided that he's going to do that. So that's you. We'll give you an update on that. We told you what's happening in the politics. I want to get your take on the other matters. And I feel I heard Senator Mark making the point in the past, who gave the okay and the permission for Miss Penny Beckles to come into the country. But in that, compared to how is the government spending this literally billions of dollars? What is the breakout of it? And I feel, you know, in another time, somebody like Ramesh Maharaj may be taking legal action to stop this, because this clearly is an attempt to pervert one. It is a misuse of taxpayers' funds. It is clear an abuse. It is also absence of probity and accountability with taxpayers' money. And on top of that, an attempt to distort and also possibly to cheat the general election. That, to me, Senator Mark, was a bigger issue. That's just my view. I mean, Senator Mark has parliamentary experience. I don't have that. But I feel that would have been a bigger issue. Instead, he's talking about how Penny Beckles come in and things. Let's go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ali.
Good afternoon.
You made a very good point here now. I don't know if you could talk to Mr. Maharaj recently, but one must remember the few bills that the PNM passed is because Ramesh opposed them.
But you know, in Ramesh time, Ramesh would reach out to the international community. He would write to the United Nations and all kind of thing and get to know why the party gotten so passive.
I don't understand. I can't.
Those are issues. Listen, that would have never passed Ramesh. Ramesh was he was in a special place in terms of the politics. I don't understand. There is, and I brought evidence, and Dr. Munilal took evidence to the parliament. There is documentation with, you know, and we talking about how who get passed in an election on that, you know. How is that?
Reach out to him, yeah.
Well, somebody has to do that, you know. I don't know if the party is, but thanks. At least one person endorses that view. So I was wondering if I was making any sense at all. But it looked like I'm making a little sense there. 4:13 in Trinidad and Tobago, 636-7547, 227-5739. Let us hear the chair of CARICOM, Mia Motley, on this issue.
Since the people of Guyana went to the polls, and yet there is no declared result. From the very beginning, we have been clear and said consistently that every vote must count, and every vote must be made to count in a fair and transparent way. We desired and has definitely not portrayed our Caribbean region in the best light. This is definitely not our finest hour, and we must not shy away from that reality. The Caribbean community is concerned at reports that the Chief Elections Officer has submitted a report to the Guyana Elections Commission, which is contrary to the directions given by the Commission, and which does not reflect the results of the recount process as certified by the very staff of the Guyana Elections Commission, and indeed witnessed by rep parties. Indeed, these numbers and the certification of them were also witnessed by our CARICOM Observer team, Guyana, in spite of the pandemic and the risks to themselves, and they scrutinized the recount process. The CARICOM Observer team was of the unshakable belief that the people of Guyana expressed their will at the ballot box on March 2nd, and that the results of the recount certified as valid by the staff of the Guyana Elections Commission led to an orderly conclusion on which the declaration of the results of the election made. Therefore, we must ask, on what grounds and by what form of executive fiat does the Chief Elections Officer determine that he should invalidate one vote, far less 1,000 votes, when the votes were already certified as valid by the officers of the Guyana Elections Commission in the presence of the said political parties? We must remind all that if there is any evidence of fraudulent or improper conduct, then there is a clear and well-accepted route to deal with these matters. It is through an election petition court. Any attempt to provide numbers different from those certified by the staff of the Guyana Elections Commission has left many in shock and wondering what next will happen to frustrate the will of the Guyanese people. The role and focus of political parties must be useful and not obstructive in embracing and promoting the people. And when we confuse and frustrate that will is when we begin to sow the very seeds of discord and acrimony that we are sworn to dissuade and discourage. The community holds a strong view. This commitment to a fair and transparent political process that led CARICOM to send 2 electoral observation missions, one for the elections and one for the recount. In addition, 4 Prime Ministers accompanied me to talk to both sides and to urge patience, especially after the loss of one life. We thank you, the Guyanese people, for that patience. As you await the finalization of this process, we urge again that you be patient and that you be committed to the fact the electoral process can replace the life of any Guyanese, or anyone for that matter. There must be room for all, regardless of who wins and who loses. The community remains committed to the people of Guyana and remains resolute that the report of its observer mission was very clear in its conclusions as to the will of the Guyanese people as reflected in the recount which they monitored.
Yes, so Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados and the current chair of the Caribbean community, saying it very clearly, great language and great presentation. Let's get back.
Good afternoon, Ken and Anne. That is a woman of substance.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them they have in the Caribbean. We have one here and Mia Mottley. That is leadership. She said, and I want to know if he basically trying to save face because one of his ministers said the UNC lost another election in Guyana. I am a pronouncement because she's sending a signal to the CCJ also, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes,
because
yes.
remember, we are one of the few not in the CCJ.
Mm-hmm.
And the CCJ is the final court of appeal, while Trinidad, the final court is our appeal court, which is the final. Remember, we had a ruling, BBC wrong, but they couldn't change it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a judiciary, sometimes you confuse everything. That is what happened with the Court of Appeal in Guyana. They made a pronouncement, is neither here or there, and the Prime Minister Nagamotu said that based on the election, before Lofield give his new set of statement in Pole, he already signaled that based on the the appeal court judgment, this is what the election officer, what they call him, chief election officer, must do. And so said, so done. You understand what is going? Sympathetic to them. Now, I want to go back to history, Ken. Moral and spiritual value. And, we don't reflect on that again. What did we get from that decision? Where was the morality and the spiritual value when we had the scholarship arrangement? Remember that one? That you made a decision saying a man is morally and spiritually superior to a certain prime minister, and he made certain pronouncements. He said Petro Singh. You understand? He harbored a fellow by the name of what they call him, called the Hat. All of those things, and that was moral and spiritual values. I am awaiting our Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, to make a pronouncement on it now, and don't remain silent on the views expressed by one of your ministers in a Facebook post. That is what is hurting me as a citizen. You allow that to foster. I mean, they say the man pull it down, but the damage was already done. And you have your ministers and your parliamentarians saying things that are discriminatory words. Like the lady who say, if you have a yellow jersey, you're not getting a food card.
Right. We have a long memory.
You was in a platform and you allow a fella to say no Calcutta ship.
All right.
Remember, since the Calcutta ship not sailing down there, the economy not turning around, it has collapsed.
Yep.
Have a nice day.
Thank you. Well, yes, quite a lot you covered. And I endorse your comments on Prime Minister Motley. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very fine.
I want to get an update on that situation we've been talking about.
Well, no updates yet. Every single thing as it is at the moment revolves around our Minister of Madness. And trust me when I say, I am not surprised. I have witnessed and lived through 28 years of electoral fraud in Guyana. The difference now is that the Caribbean community is very vocal and prepared to speak out, whereas in Norman Manley and Eric Williams and the rest, they with Dr. Fenton Ramsahoy. Dr. Fenton Ramsahoy was the first Attorney General under the Jagan administration, and we have had people like Lionel Lakou and Sridhar Ramphal who sold the Guyanese people, right, Indians in particular, lock, stock and barrel. However, let me just also say that what is happening in Guyana may surprise others, but it is not surprising me because November I had a meeting home by my residence with one Dr. Vishnu Bisram, the NACTA pollster, right? And a couple of other prominent people, one of whom is going up for a UNC seat, businessman and a historian, a couple of other people. And Dr. Vishnu Bisram, incidentally, and I'm not invited him to, he spent 2 weeks on the ground in Ghana. I'm talking about November, before that constitutional crisis that we did do. And Vishnu showed us early how the present elections is going to be rigged, and exactly what Vishnu said, exactly what is playing off. All right? And these people have absolutely, as I said it again and I'm saying it again, this Granger is a snake. Absolutely no integrity, no shame whatsoever. And, Dr. Hamid Ghani wrote also, in an article that I read recently, the impotence of the CCJ. A lot of people are putting their hope on the CCJ. But the CCJ also, the final court have, limitations. And Guyana don't care about CCJ, I tell you that. All right?
Yes,
so I just
thank
wanted
you.
to share my views. Thank you.
I've got one aspect in particular. I want to encourage, especially the youths in our audience, to read Dr. Chedi Jagan's book. And I read that as a very young man, and that is before he was able to return to office. And I was really heartbroken about how he was cheated out of office and how successive leadership, including Dr. Williams and others, stood idly by for all kinds of reasons and didn't make an attempt to use their influence. I don't think they could have intervened, but to use their influence. There. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Mr. Ali Belmont here again.
Hi.
Now, you see what's going on in Guyana there? You must blame Mr. Granger. Mr. Granger have not a hand alone, one in what is being said by this Hall of Field man. You know, after the recount took place, and it was established that the PPP had so many thousands ahead, but he was asked a question. The question is whether you're going to accept the results. You know what I want to say? As long as Mr. Hall of Field say, it's okay, it's okay. And you know the same Hall of Field come and say now, no, he can't turn out so many votes because he know them vote wasn't no good vote. So and they was corrupted and all kind of things. So he had his man the election result upside down.
And he didn't have the authority to do that.
You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
After the recount, you know.
Yes.
He said, well, accept it as long as all the people say yes is yes. All of he'll say no, so he say no too. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. I mean, well, the corruption is clear with respect to what they have done. This is voter fraud in its purest sense. The point I want to go back to Jack another bit, but good afternoon to you.
Jack, let me just make one statement on the previous caller, and just to remind him, perhaps he did not know. Granger said that he told Gonzalez that he is prepared to accept, that is before the result, he is prepared to accept of the recount. Mm-hmm. He said so. Thank you very much.
Yes, he did say that. He did say that. Yeah, I was talking about Dr. Jagan a little bit. The Western trial, I read that many years ago when he was unseated by the British in favor. They had supported then Forbes Burnham and a man named Peter Diaga. And they unseated him even though he got the popular vote because of he was seen, frankly, as a Marxist, and he didn't want to give up that ideology, although I don't know how he really was going to apply it in Guyana. But for that, they kept him out of office. He got a chance again, but he was robbed of successive election. When you read about how Dr. Williams matters pertaining to the setting up of the Federation and so on, and Dr. Williams was upset with these, what I would consider now to be petty issues. He didn't pull his weight along with other Caribbean leaders like Grantley Adams and some of the others to get the legitimately elected administration installed in Guyana. It really was a travesty of justice. But all right, so that's that. Now, we continue to take your calls before I make the next point. 636-7547-227-5739. Now, there is on media some reports, on social media, and I think on some traditional media, about some UNC members of parliament are not giving it any oxygen, really, because that's taking place. And so on. I acknowledge.
People congratulating each other.
Yeah, that's one, and they're saying who walk out and so on. One of our regular statement in which he talking about mischief makers are working hard and so on. And he talk about a report that so and so walk out this and that and so on. A lot of that is mischief, really. So I'm aware of that, but I don't give it any credence, really. Today is the birthday of Winston Dukaran. I wonder what he feels. That he's 77 and he's 77 years old, Winston Dukaran. Somehow I feel, although they give him a job and UE, I don't know if that's...
And he's on a recovery committee.
He's all right. But, I think people like him have on national issues. Talking about that, Karen Nunes Teixeira, the former Minister of Finance. She gave a media interview, which I thought was very balanced, because she praised Dr. Rowley for his handling of COVID-19, but she strongly criticized the Minister of Finance on his handling of the economy. She, of course, is a former Minister of Finance, so she strongly criticized him. I thought it was a very bad to congratulate Mrs. and Karen Nunes Teixeira, but I just want to say, I don't want to say much. It's his birthday. Winston Dukaran turned 77 today. Happy birthday to you. Best wishes. But every now and then, the country needs to hear, and he's a balanced person, and we'd like to get your thoughts on the some of the issues affecting us. Unfortunately, his party, the COP, not doing so well. I don't understand why Carolyn, she was at Beach, is still be getting on as if she leading a party. You know, she left the COP and gone to the UNC as a candidate, and she getting on, and the media giving her all kind of coverage and thing, you know. And they say she fuming, and I said, well, listen, what is wrong with her? How the COP is kind of dead in the water now, and she must acknowledge her. Good afternoon to you. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anne.
Yeah, hi.
Anne.
Hello.
Yesterday I was asking you what I was discussing about the licensing office, and you asked me if I Yes, I am. What do you want? I forgot to tell you. I didn't hear you clearly.
If you have an issue there, call us and tell us what the issue is, and let's talk about it.
Because I understand some people went regardless of the press release that came of Ken, and they did not get through.
Yeah, but we want to hear your story. I'm glad he has brought that back on the agenda. We want to hear your story. Good afternoon to you.
No, I just called. That wasn't what I called my contribution.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, what's going on there, Ken? Can you balance it off with our CJ here? Now, the court say the EBC was wrong for the extra hour. Not so?
Yes.
They could CJ take it upon himself. That's not the law. And say he don't want to put the country through it. That is not for him to say.
Yeah, it's not for him to
interpret. The same thing with Holyfield fella doing there. It is not for him to say that. And you forget one thing just now there when you say Eric Williams wasn't helping. You forget one thing. Eric Williams give Burnham $700 million.
Okay.
Is that Pandey and them come in power? Brian Quaitong tell them give us in rice.
Okay,
so
I forgot
people
that.
tell you that he give them he give him that money to continue the nastiness he was doing to the people. And I don't know what it is with these people. They could call me racist, and I tell them I am a racist. Look at that one where they call Mugabe. He said, yeah, moving. The man lost, and he said, yeah, moving. They want to share. These people know all the evidence, all this thing where the Prime Minister Motley said, the whole world looking at these people. They don't have no shame, boy, Ken. Shame, only because they see oil money coming, they only going to let down their character. If character, boy, Granger, you have nothing. Money can't buy that, boy, Granger. Move from the people office now, man. Have a nice day.
You know, what we're talking about is in 1982. In 1982, Dr. Williams died in 1981, and there weren't any CARICOM meeting for the last 2 years. Sorry, after this call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ken. A little bit about this Guyana.
Yes.
You remember a gentleman by the name of Shuda Ramphal?
Of course.
You remember he was a Burnham
He was the Burnham AG, yes. He was the Burnham AG. He later headed the CARICOM Secretariat.
And to some extent...
Did I say CARICOM? I meant Commonwealth, sorry.
Right, and to some extent, because of that, that led to credibility.
Yes, you interpret that well.
And people have to understand that.
Yes.
And that is where the politics lies, kind of thing. And CARICOM, to some extent, turned a blind eye because in the leadership of the CARICOM, CARICOM Commonwealth, they would have, how should I say it, let all those things go forward. And Eric Williams, and likewise Manley, others, time and place afforded it, and it is the colonial rule caused that, and people have to go back to the history. And in my take, Eric Williams' strategy inside out, and it let it play because Burnham and because of to Russia, and because remember he was educated and he has a close affinity to them. So they allow Burnham they created a vacuum by suppressing Chedi Diagan and his followers, and created an opportunity for Burnham, just like when Eric Williams was chosen as the premier. Remember in the first thing, the colonial, that election had called in the early 1950s. People have to understand that, and there is an influence. Now things have changed, and they realize, and I believe the Americans and everybody looking at Guyana as a base for them to counter Russia. And likewise, Trinidad want to develop a nexus with Venezuela, and it happened. So at least things are happening in a sort of kind of way that could probably foster the democracy. Let the people decide where they want to go, even though the Americans will influence. But you can't do that. I won't call it the fuel gate issue with the DLC is explosive, Ken, when I'm hearing all of that. I don't know if it's true, the allegations, how the first shipment came through Shell and then it was offloaded to a Rupert.
With respect to Rupert, yes.
Yes, serious thing. And the $700 million is linked to a proprietary company somewhere they want to think, and the deal, one of the 7 criteria that they want to give, what they call them, patriotic. One of it, the last one, is to establish a memorandum of understanding with a company, Travalga or something like that, which is owned by Repartee. So it stinks.
Right.
And it is very, very explosive. And the whole said about 6 of them have to face Babylon. And you know who is Babylon? Because it looked like they were doctoring invoices, and they prepare an invoice 2 days ago when Mark was raising it in Parliament. And the document, people sign it, he call out the people's name. I mean, they say, how can a shipment leave the country? And 2 months after, you're raising an invoice for it. Interfere with government revenue and do all kind of things with documents. Remember, there was a plyboard thing coming with a set of US dollars, and they couldn't find out who it was. It's the same thing, doctoring of documents. Okay, can I go on?
Thank you. Yes. Well, that is a matter we have spoken about in today's business, what we have, and that is an ongoing scandal. Is a legal issue. We'll return to that issue. But let's talk to this caller. Good afternoon to you.
Stanley.
Hi.
Belmont again.
Hi.
Now, the callers comparing now to the early 70s, the early 60s, with this other countries. And the CIA used to divide the people racially, and it is a different thing today. Today is actual thieving, is actual Granger organizing with the man in the election commission to steal the election. Because if you remember, since the High Court judge, since his government with a minority, he refused to call an early election. He went to court. He do all kind of things. And if he allowed it to continue, then he was forced to call the election, and he just don't want to go out of power. He's a dishonest man. It is quite different to what Burnham was trying to please the American people, to try and show that democracy could have been prevail and not communism. So it is something entirely different. Granger is a thief. Thank you very much.
No, well, you see, again, this thing called revisionist history is a funny thing, you know. Burnham did is he stole elections. History must not pacify that. History must not rewrite that. That is what Burnham did successively. He was installed as a foil to seen as a satellite of the Soviet Union then in this part of the world. And then he proceeded being CARICOM chair, which is due shortly, and other issues. Good afternoon to you. Hi, good afternoon.
Person is not there.
Something is not going wrong there. Let's try this one. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Okay, I am a man believes in practical results. All the bullshit that Guyanese do, it's surprising that they do put their money or put their blood for what they believe in. Just like a caller in this program a while ago, but cowards, and I mean those Indo-Trinidadian like myself in Guyana. They rather hold on to them and will not contribute together to get. You can't get them done. You can't remove them by ballot. You can remove them otherwise. Form your plan, pay your money, and the thing will be done. Don't stand up in the crack like in them street corner and singing on left and liberty. Oh God, talking something. But they're leaving their country, United States. They go pass a law and they go. Yeah, the law working now. How much press conference is that fella giving out in Ghana?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You wouldn't sign.
Yeah. Well, you need to mobilize people. That's the point you make.
Yes. Trinidad too, you know. Trinidad too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Well, well, there are a lot of Guyanese abroad who I guess are looking for leadership in all of this. But I guess the opposition is hoping that justice will take place, but it has been going on and on. It's several months now. The state indication of that changing really. And so you can't fault people who have migrated, who fled. A number of people fled 2 generations ago in some cases, fled from Guyana and now live in various places in the United States, in Canada, and in other corners around the world. I know, as fact, some people are anxious to return. Business people and others are anxious to return to Guyana with the hope of rebuilding and social stability. Well, no indication of that taking place anytime soon. So that's the reality, really, of what is happening in Guyana. We continue to take your calls. Just after 5 p.m., we have Ved Seeram coming to speak with us. We'll ask him about Trinidad and Tobago borrowing further, going to further debt, 500 million US, as announced by the Minister of Finance. So we're going to ask him about that for us. But we would come back and talk about it in a little while, because I think it has some current implication. Now, he was born, he is a multi-millionaire born in Venezuela, and got invested in the oil industry, got close to Maduro over the years, and subsequently has used his links and to try to circumvent the embargo. Remember, they have yet not heard the truth.
And have some
yes, because that took
swept
place.
under the carpet.
Yeah, and this is why I've been asking the last few days, what are the election issues in Trinidad and Tobago? And you know, I heard Wade Mark talking about who gave, he went to a motion to Parliament. You know, how did
Penelope Beckles get to come
Wade,
in, and Barry Padarat wasn't granted exemption.
Wade Mark, are you serious? How is that an election matter? Talk. I mean, there's a man who held the position of Speaker of the House of Representatives talking about that. All right, listen, they may have lifted the restrictions to allow her to come. I don't doubt they do that. The UNC would have done something like that for their person too. But and if it was different and so on, the results could have been different. I don't want to suggest they should have dealt with then. It would be too late. Good afternoon to you.
Ken, and I want to make a final comment for the day on your program, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
To draw a parallel between Guyana and Trinidad, we are now approaching elections here in Trinidad. For all of those years, right, that Burnham ruled, he ruled dictator. And one of the things, among many, I could talk about so many, the PPP had a newspaper, right? They called it Mirror, all right? And for a couple of years, he denied newsprint, the paper, to come in the country to print the newspaper. Party groups all across the country keeping them very oiled. Ever so often, the political leader, Jagan himself, is because when PNM would have announced all the, candidates, UNC still fishing around. When they did get to it, late. Because you need to gel with the community. And Jagan did not make that mistake. So until when they got the first opportunity with Jimmy Carter for the first fair election in Guyana in the 90s, PPP won. So things don't happen overnight. Partly just around election time, and that's the difference, in my humble view, subject to correction, between the UNC and the PNM. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, and now we see now repeat.
And then later, successive leaders, including Bharat Jagdeo and now Irfan Ali, have kept their people continuously mobilized, which is a startling huge country in terms of land mass. And they have continued to inform and so on, keep them informed. PNM does constituency executives work on the party groups. I'm shocked. There are in some places party groups of 20 party groups and so on and so forth.
Labre has 19.
Right, look at that. Labre has 19. Ask the UNC how much they have. Ask the UNC. Some UNC official call us and tell us how much party groups the UNC are. And that is a marked difference in mobilization of people. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Mr. Ali, when someone is thinking that because the candidates were named late is a reason why the UNC lost the last election, from 1986, the whole voting has changed because of certain things. I will take too long to explain, so another day when you have more time, I will tell you why the UNC lost last time and why they won the time before and why Mr. Pandey won in 2000 and he never win again until 2010 when Mr. Stacey came in. I will explain why.
Thank you. Okay.
And then you will get to understand.
Thank you. Yeah, but nobody in the world could convince me that naming a candidate late especially in a short season can't work against and won't work against a constituency. It's not a point I want to belabor because that's an internal matter of the UNC, and how any party runs its affairs is that party's business. So I'm not taking it upon myself to suggest what they should do, because clearly the politicians who run the party, the executive, are more talented, more skilled, and I assume in the running of the political party. But here we have the incumbent, the PNM, who, by the way, have the election date in their back pocket, have indicated their election. They have indicated their election candidates already. It suggests to me that the very nature of politics is about meeting and greeting people and so on. You do not have a named candidate. I can't see how that could work for you, but there are people, of course, smarter than me. 9 minutes to the hour of 5 p.m. on this Wednesday, 24th, 20. We have Wade coming in after 5 p.m. to talk economics and so on. And I want you to engage with him, call him, and engage with him. We are talking about the local politics. And this current issue pertains to, we're talking about the different political styles between. I found the Guyanese people to be in a heightened state of political readiness, and it's probably because of the oppression they suffered for all these many years. Let's hear this caller. Good afternoon to you.
Hey, morning. Good evening, Mr.
Afternoon.
Kenari. Good evening, Ms. Anduki. Good evening, Trinidad. Well, I'm not tuning in, but I was doing something and I couldn't tune in the scene. And I get a tail end of the all dealing with the candidates, the potential candidates. But your take on the matter is that you think a candidate should be named a little earlier.
But what do you think? What do you think?
Well, we have this thing in Trinidad where they call short seat or safe seat.
Oh, okay.
So I think in those cases they really do matter. But at the end of the day, but I feel that to me I can make a name the day before the election. It doesn't matter to me what he proposed to do differently in order to improve service to the constituency after the date. That's my concern.
Thank you very much. 8 minutes to the hour of 5 p.m. Continue to call us and tell us what you think of the fruit parity. We were talking about that. I'll come back and talk a little more. Probably we'll talk a bit more about that, if not later, certainly tomorrow. But Wade is here and he's going to join us just after 5 p.m. I'm going to ask him about this money that has been negotiated. In addition to that, the Minister of Finance says that allowed be used to refinance a UNC loan. So we will raise that with Wade also. But as we head to the 5 p.m. hour, we want to continue to hear you on these matters. 636-7547, 227-5739. Now, in England, those who are following the cricket, the series hasn't, and there'd be a lot of interest in what happens between the West Indies cricket team playing a series in England in this period of COVID-19 and so on. So that matter, they're going to start the series. There's an internal match between the West Indies team. Well, I have 14 members in the team, but I think they've drafted in some others, and they have a 3-day match because they're still under quarantine. I hope the guys do well. I really hope they do well. It's time the team begins to bounce back. But of course, the English team has a strong team, including a fellow born in Barbados named Jofra Archer. Born in Barbados. You see, we never spot talent in this part of the world, you know. Born in Barbados, play a few matches for the Caribbean and so on. And then after that, living there, and now he is the best skilled bowler in the English team. So he's the man going to give us hell. So a fellow named Jofra Archer, a Barbadian born guy. Okay, let's hear from you on these matters as we head to 5 p.m. With a number of crimes continue to take place. A lot of women going missing and so on. The crime, I don't know what's the latest murder statistic, but it is has to be headed to almost to 230 now. all kinds of things you hear, and man burnt in vehicle and all kinds of things, all kinds of murders and so on. Then we also have some deaths of some prominent people. Those who were around then, I mean, you had to have been around in that era. Wade would have been. The murder trial of Abdul Malik in the early 70s. Early 70s. Well, the lawyer who defended him, a man named Kenneth Foster. I don't think he was a Trinidadian, but he died in St. Lucia.
Yes.
Right. He died there. Kenneth Foster. That sensational murder trial, if ever there was one in recent times, and the newspapers used to carry word. Heading to the 5 p.m. hour, we want to take a break just to also tell you internationally a number of new cases of COVID-19. I mean, the incidence of it has gotten really bad. It is the reports are spiraling out of control in some U.S. states. Spiraling out of control. So they've gotten
some persons with a second wave, Ken.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of our listeners raised the point yesterday about whether, in fact, it is or speculating. Some of it may be connected to the protests last week and the week before, all over the place. There were no concerns then about social distancing and thing, But as one of our callers reminded us, but when Trump called a meeting in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it became an issue. Well, it's part of the politics, really. The U.S. is not far away from fewer than 100 days, maybe. Well, I'll give you the correct number from their own election, which is due. They have their own election. We are much. It'll probably be a little over 100 days, but we are, I think, fewer than 90 days away from general election 2020 in Trinidad and Tobago. The question of naming of candidates, I would think you want to have some familiarity on the ground and you want to have a structure and so on. I mean, I think all of that is important. It's an important thing. But who am I to say? I don't know. I know the last time there were some complaints from UNC activists, foot soldiers and things. They were saying that, well, gosh, the UNC had the election date. Clearly, they will announce candidates in time. And I know that was an issue for those who were campaigning on the ground, who are knowledgeable and skilled in those business. So I'm not one of those, but if people say it doesn't have an impact, well, I guess it doesn't have an impact. I don't know. But we're heading to the 5 p.m. hour. Answers, we take a break. We come back, Vade Seeram, and Vade, we're going to start by asking him about the Trinidad. And let's take this call quickly, could we? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Ken, and good afternoon.
Hi. Quickly.
I'll make it very brief.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening, we were speaking about the candidates, but I was listening to a radio station and they were giving an audio of Ms. Gatsby Dolly, the MP, being interviewed by a moderator. It was like a meet and greet of your parliament or meet and greet the candidates running in your constituency. And Mr. Dial Singh was also there. But one of the things I found really interesting and really got my attention was that they were speaking about crime in Maraval. And we were talking about, the interviewer asked him, and he was very educated. He seemed like he was very elitist almost. And he very educated. And he said that, and also somebody from the upper crust, And he kind of said, well, when the crime was coming into Maraval, how did you feel about all of that, And she stressed how the concern of the citizens, that she had to protect those citizens. And it almost made me feel in her comment about the wealthier neighborhoods that how their priority is not national. It's not like, it's like, if crime is okay in your neighborhood, but when it comes here, we don't want any crime in the wealthier parts of Trinidad. Because I've never heard
it's either that
about it. Like,
yeah, probably she didn't say it well.
And not only that, too, she didn't answer any of the questions. He said to her, he asked a question, and he said, what do you think about hampers not being distributed and money missing and people not get to the whole issue? And talks about, I'm on the phone, I keep my phone 24/7. I have people calling me, I call people. She didn't talk about anything about management, talk about trust, talk about working with other, the community groups. I didn't really hear much of that. It was like me, and I'm going to hold my phone and I'm going to take your call and come to me. Members of parliament, you can't give them your complaint. You got to go to your regional corporation and go through different channels. That is how a republic works, Ken.
Thank you. Yes. Well, yeah, everybody has his own style. 5.
Time has come. New 97.5. Make it your choice. So
U97 Pepper Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners. Hurry to 3C2 Rentals, number 77 Bonaventure Road, Gasparillo, for your business and personal tool and available for rent. Coring machines, compactors, concrete vibrators, demolition hammers, drills, saws, scarifiers, pressure washers, generators, welding units, trash pumps, hydrostatic test pumps, and so competitive prices. Visit or call us at 650-2362 or 789-4581 for more information.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and pregnancy testicle products and over-the-counter drugs, along with guns. Sagicor Caricare International Medical Card, Guardian Life Provider Card, and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Building, Rocha Douglas Road, Barrackpore, GN Building in Pinal, and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
KY's Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Canupia, for all your plumbing and electrical supplies, water heaters, filters, and water pumps, plus all parts for Gould, Pentax, and Leo pumps. Choose from leading brands such as Cooper, Varma, Eviton, and General Electric. Call 665-6954 for more information. KY's Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Canupia. A&S Hardware and the General Contractors Limited of 107 Bonaventure Road in Gasparillo for all your hardware materials from foundation to finish. Not forgetting needs. We have it all at A&S Hardware and the General Contractors Limited, located at 107 Bonaventure Road in Gasparillo. Just call Tiki Ali at 650-2180.
A&S Hardware are wholesalers and retailers of plywood, an assortment of lumber and steel. Customers can enjoy special prices on white pine and pitch pine doors.
Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited, number 86 Pearville, opposite the TSTT Exchange in Mayaro. We specialize in all types of meats, dry goods, liqueur, beverages, ice, LPG, gas, motor oils, stationery supplies, and photocopying. We also provide rentals of tents and chairs for your every occasion. Come in and take advantage of reduced prices on liqueur, wholesale and retail. We are open every day, even on public holidays, for your convenience. TT Post services are available here at Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited of number 86 Pearville, Mayaro, where our friendly staff will be happy to serve you.
It's 5:04 on this Wednesday. Thank you for staying with us on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio, as we've been promised just after 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Wade Searam is always here, a former senior banker and commentator in the media, and we're very fortunate to have him here exclusively on Wednesday afternoons. Good afternoon, Wade.
Good afternoon, Ken. Good afternoon, Anne. And
hello.
And all listeners.
We have a lot to share, to ask you to share with us, really. We want to go directly to this matter we've been talking about, which is finance, announcing that Trinidad and Tobago has secured Credit Suisse of U.S. and part of that, he says, to refinance debt taken by the previous administration. I want to ask, go back, I want to start from the theme of what does that do for our debt stock, and then from that branch off to discuss the wider issue.
Yeah. A 500 million bond. A bond is a little different than a line of credit. A bond is a one-time loan. Unlike a line, you can deposit and take back up like an overdraft, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a 500 million. The purpose of which now, they explained, was to repay another loan that is coming due this next month, yes. July, right?
Yes.
So they said, look, a 250 million bond coming due next month. They cannot pay it from their current cash flows. They have to go back to the market and borrow. So that's one. So you're borrowing to repay debt. Secondly, 8 million, so it would mean to say the other 250 million, they didn't explain where that is going, but I suspect it will be part of meeting the deficit for this year. So that was not explained at all. And what I find a bit disturbing is that reporters are writing about it, but it appears that there's a difference between reporters and what we can look at journalism. So they are thinking on their feet to ask other questions. So the Minister of Finance took the opportunity to really decry what transpired 20 years ago when they raised the bond. That's the 250. And I think he attempted to show how bad the UNC was. I don't want to be political, but this was his message, that look how they raised it at 9.75, and I was able to go to the market and get it at 4.75, a saving of 5%. Then he went on to say the 5% on 25 multiply by, they will save, I think, 980 million. So immediately in all of that message, you switched from US dollars to TT dollars, and that was not explained as well, and it was not clarified by the reporters. So the reporters are not thinking on their feet. They're just mouthing what the minister said. Accuracies on the minister's interpretation of what truly transpired. But what he was really, the message he was explaining to the country is that PNM is doing so much better. But there's some subtle points that the nation should understand, where he said within 3 hours they were, and he was also saying that the lenders, who I think he described as sophisticated lenders or well-known lenders, decision so quickly, he was surprised that the investors took up this bond so quickly, and in addition to that, they oversubscribed by I think 216% or something like that, right? So it was oversubscribed. So I think I described what actually transpired. Let's analyze it a bit.
And let's wherever what he has said is factually incorrect, let's deal with it.
Yes, it's factually incorrect. One, he said it was a refinancing a bond. Let's say you have a 20-year bond, and during the term of the bond, say after 5 years, you feel you can get better rates in the market, and if there's a prepayment clause in that initial bond, then you can prepay. Sometimes there are penalties. But what normally happens, that if you want to prepay a bond in which there is no prepayment clause, there's normally a clause there that says that you have to make whole. Make whole meaning to say that you want to prepare the bond way in advance to give the investors, if they are going to lose interest earnings over the next few years because market rates have gone down, then you have to make them whole and pay the present value of that interest rate differential. So first inaccuracy was that this was not a refinancing. It was not a refinancing.
It was not a refinancing.
No, I could put my head on the block. Now, this demonstrates a worrying Minister of Finance does not know what he is saying, and that is very worrying. The second one is that no one in the ministry, that is all the permanent secretaries, and he has other ministers in the Ministry of Finance, were able to correct it or advise him, or whether they were the author of the note for him to say. So it was not a refinance. And Trinidadian,
explain the point again. I want us to all get that very clearly.
Yes. Okay. If you have a mortgage, Ken, if you have a mortgage and it's maturing next month, right? You are now cannot make the payment from your cash flows. That lasts your money to repay a loan during the tenure of that loan, maybe during midterm of that loan, then that is a refinance. This is not a refinance.
Okay.
So that has to be clearly. So it means to say that the minister don't quite understand what a refinancing is. Right? Okay. That's one. Secondly, he said he saved 980 million. US to TT, but you're dealing with a US bond. So that was also a bit disingenuous.
That is it, yes.
So I'm asking the question, was it deliberately done or was it a genuine mistake? Both conditions, whether it was a mistake, you are in charge of billions of dollars. And you ought to be, after 5 years, that's equivalent to doing several MBAs in finance. This is not the time to make those mistakes.
Right.
If you did it deliberately, then that's another issue. It means to say you're trying to the citizens, right?
That's sleight of hand almost.
To prove a political point.
Yes.
Okay. So you went on to say that you're saving 5%, basically because the last bond was, this bond is 4.75, therefore 5% based on 250 million per annum multiplied by 10 years, that's $980 million, right? So I'm asking a simple question. If you have saved that, can you show me where it is?
Okay.
Show me where it is. What is the savings you're talking about?
But if they say, explain it to us carefully, it would be in non-payment. Is that a correct way to say it?
Well, this is where the confusion lies.
Right.
Because he assumes repaid, he would have continued to pay for the next 10 years at 9.75% on the old bond, but the bond matures. So you're not saving anything. There's no saving. There's absolutely no saving.
Okay.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the bond was to continue for the next 10 years at 9.75 and you refinance it, then that is a genuine save. Fictitious to believe that the bond that matures next month will continue for the next 10 years. That is not the fact.
Okay.
So that is where understanding the refinancing, first of all, it was not a refinancing, and secondly, there is no saving. Absolutely no saving. Right? So you don't need to go to an MBA finance class to learn this. This is simple English that you go to your dictionary and find out what refinancing is, and therefore there's no savings. Okay? So those were two easy to for the population to get confused what the minister says, right? Now, what he compared, and this is so important, he compared a bond that was raised in 2000 to a bond that was raised in 2020. But you have to look at what was the interest rate environment at that point in time compared to this point. Look now at the spreads. The spread between the interest-free rate, which is U.S. Treasury, and what is the spread then and what is the spread now. But to say that you are saved 5%, that is because of market conditions, nothing that the UNC or any NER or any government could have done. It was the market rate at the time. The market rate at the time for a 20-year U.S. Treasury, 6.75%. That's the U.S. Treasury. If the U.S. government were to raise 20-year bonds, they would have had to pay 6.7. Now it fluctuates on a daily basis. So to be precise, somebody could go back. I was trying to go back in history to find out. So I got an average of the rate, about 6.75%. So if the government at the time paid 9.75%, it means to say there was a 3% spread rate. 3%.
Explain that to us.
Explain that. We agreed that the bond that was raised, 250 million, was raised 20 years ago. The interest 9.75. Agreed?
Yes.
The risk-free rate, that is for U.S. government, was 6.75 or thereabouts. So it means to say the spread, the premium,
right,
the risk for Trinidad and Tobago government was 3%.
Good.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Before you continue, just let me invite callers if you want. 636-7547-227-5739. Ved Seeram is with us discussing this new bond issue that spoke about. He's carefully explaining it to us non-financial minds. It is a wonderful discussion, and he's been painstakingly explaining it to us. Feel free to join us and to call and ask a question or make a comment.
You can post a comment, ELU 975.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes,
So I'm
go
saying
ahead.
what is important is not the absolute rate.
Mhm.
What is important is the spread over U.S. government treasuries.
Right.
So we said, on average, or just thereabouts, it was roughly 3%. The U.S. treasuries, when the funds were raised in 2000.
Wait, hold the thought, and let's hear this caller. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I don't accept nothing that you say because you are an oppressor. You don't want to see working class people get nothing. Thank you.
But no, you there? What is the basis for saying that? Now, wait, that is typical of our people. You would call a radio station actor as an anonymous person and just go off. Listen, you are a big coward.
Identify yourself.
And you are a big coward. Listen, I stand by. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Sierra.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Mr. Miss Anduki and Mr. Kennedy. Mr. The information we get here is data. And if you have something wrong, if anybody have a problem with data, go and reproduce the data and prove the man wrong.
Absolutely.
Don't come and just attack the man. Just,
Attack his credibility and his integrity instead of dispute.
Incredible. Well, no,
That is our people.
Siram for enlightening us in this way because apparently these people up there just trying to kind of like hoodwink the public. And I think we need some people that get together, economists, and to get together and really analyze this country, because whoever gets back into power, we have some real deep challenges ahead. And we have to face reality, and the people got to be aware of that.
Right? So to be established that point. So we have to see now, the government said they have just raised a bond at 4.75. So we have to ask the question, what is the U.S. government borrowing for 10 years? And my research has shown is roughly 0.75. 0.75. So if you're paying 4.75, that would mean to say minus 7.5, it means to say the spread is 4% and not 3%. So I think the facts have borne out that the government is, if everything else is constant, then they have not done so well come 1000 bond.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
So it means to say that the spread, because the risk for
But
Trinidad
have
and
circumstances
Tobago,
changed a way that...
Oh yes.
Right.
Trinidad risk has grown.
Yeah, I wanted to deal with
Yes.
that matter of our risk.
The-
That risk is based on our current rating, or decline in rating.
Well,
is it
current
not?
ratings, and basically our source of income has disappeared.
Right, indeed, that's
It
right.
has disappeared.
That's the other point, yes.
And can government, by taking on this additional debt, can they service interest? And the answer is no. So they have to go and borrow money to pay the bank. And this again, I'm bringing it back to simple terms. When you go to the bank looks at all your revenues. They want to know whether your revenues are stable. If you're working for government or so, they'll say, okay, your revenues are stable. If you're selling doubles, they will look at the last 3 years and see whether it's stable. But still, selling doubles is risky. One fly in the ointment, so they look at stability of income. They look at stability of expenditure and say, what is your net amount available to service your interest and your principal? That's a standard analysis the banks do. They keep referring to debt to GDP to determine how much a government can borrow. And that problem is widespread in the world today and are falling over the cliff. That is Greece, Portugal, Spain, even France is there, Japan is there. America is in a very bad, precarious position. The only thing that is keeping America together is that they are printing US dollars and people are buying US dollars. US dollars itself.
About our debt stock, and this makes things...
In the sunshine, I didn't mean to advertise it, but
no, it's all right.
It's very instructive that he and all is saying the deficit is $18 billion. I've been saying it's more than $18 billion for years.
Let's hear this
Hold it
caller.
out.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Siram, good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, if over a period of 5 years, this government is a new government for 5 years, I mean, paid a lot of debts that was incurred by Mr. Manning regime. They have paid debts, they didn't complain, they keep on paying it and paying it and paying it. When this government got into power, they shelved a lot of big debts like Petrotrin and other debts, and it's still shelved because and they didn't raise any additional revenue to service the debt that Mr. Dictator raised for running the affairs. And now they are coming to tell you that they are borrowing on the bonds market debt. So what have you been doing for 5 years with all the revenue? You had a right to be servicing those debts, and you had a right to be looking for new revenue to keep on liquidating debt. And they didn't mention the amount of debt that the new government have to pay. So I don't know, this whole thing it's looking like a lot of propaganda, a lot of dishonesty. Bring up your debt, then you will talk about Mr. Bicester debt. Thank you very much.
Well, at the end of the day, it's government debt and the citizens' debt. It doesn't matter who raises which government.
What debt?
In the end.
Taxpayers.
Let me tell you.
The debt don't have a name on it.
The debt, yeah. So UNC can't say, I'm not paying that debt. That is
No,
PNM debt.
it doesn't work
Go
so.
and look for Mr. Manning and go and look for Mr. It doesn't work so. In fact, I would recommend you all read the book Economic Hitman by a previous IMF senior employee. And quite frankly, I'm seeing it just unravel before my eyes, where the banks are very reckless in their lending, because one of the things that the officers in the banks, they get bonuses on the amount of loans lent out. Even the IDB, they get promoted or otherwise or demoted, I suspect, based on the number of US dollars for urban development. Let me ask a simple question in terms of priorities. How high is that urban development at this point in time when people are starving, people do not have one good meal for the day, people are unemployed, perhaps over 20% at the current times, and how important is urban development at this point? And certainly it doesn't make sense. In my article I said, look, they should repurpose that loan into rural development so that we can get food production going again. But I want to emphasize the point that the bankers are vending, and that is why the minister was surprised. Wait a minute, in just 3 hours they agreed to give me $500 million US. He and all was shocked.
Let's hear this caller. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, Ken, and
good afternoon.
Everyone else. Good afternoon, Mr. Serum.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Serum, a politician recently said that if they're elected, they're going to produce 100,000 jobs. I truly believe that politicians need to talk to the country better, as though we are all grown-ups. But that aside from it, Mr. Serum. Mr. Serum, tell me something. We cannot just continue and say, well, okay, we're going to do agriculture, we're going to produce our own food because we're a useful nation. What do you see as the low-hanging fruits? Can you name two? For me, I would say tourism. And I would say that we have to concentrate on reviving Point Lisa as a viable entity. But I would like to hear from you as to what you see as the low-hanging fruits between as far as doing something to grow the economic pie.
Right.
Good question. Eric, thank you for that question.
Yeah. So we're moving on, right? We leave the debt for now. We can always revisit it depending on. But I agree with you. And the 5 planks I had for really getting this, diversifying this economy. And you have to ask certain questions when you dive. One is, what are the resources you really have available? And one of the resources obviously is land. And I will talk about the adequacy of land. Then we have the people. Then we have a desire to live. If you have a desire to live, all things are possible. Then we still have natural gas here, We still have natural gas. Whether it's in commercial prices for extraction, we still have oil as well. So those are things we have to say. Let's maximize it. I will tell you the 5 or 6 plans that I've developed, which I think I'll be very happy to argue or discuss with anyone, because we start from the premises: what resources do we have? We have land, we have good rain temperature, we don't have violent hurricanes, we don't have violent earthquakes, so we pretty much there comforted. So with regards to agriculture, there's no harm in saying, let us grow self-sufficient. This would require a series of things. But one, we can start off with the big ticket items. Rice. We need 15,000 acres to grow the rice that will satisfy our needs. 15,000 acres can easily be found in Trinidad. Over 150,000 acres were put into sugarcane. But when let's get involved in rice, there should be a zero waste policy. All the rice in California, what to do with the rice husk, and they realized, actually a Chinese entrepreneur, he started to use the rice husk in gasifiers to produce electricity. So we can do that. We have to diversify it in such a way that we make the widest range of products available from that one item. Now, when we say rice, it just doesn't have to mean to mean the normal rice that we use. We can make further downstream products such as rice crisp and so on.
Eric asked a good question, and I think he was talking also about various sectors. So while we talk about agriculture, and we could come back and talk about that, he presented tourism. I hold a different view on tourism. I think tourism is going nowhere fast, but you already want to answer that.
I have a very good view on tourism.
All right, so let's hear you on tourism.
Tourism now, we need to develop for local tourism first. In other words, we should develop facilities in Trinidad and Tobago for local tourism, because when the dollar is devalued, ultimately it will be because we are not earning dollars. We can't be borrowing money, US dollars, and putting it into the reserves and say, look, we are not earning US dollars now. It's as simple as that. And with the debt increasing, we have to put aside that money to pay back the US dollar debt. So tourism is extremely important, so that when we cannot fly out as we feel on every weekend to Miami to shop and to have holidays. If we develop the local tourism sectors and infrastructure, I think that will be extremely important in preserving foreign exchange and give people an avenue to enjoy themselves as individuals and as families. So local tourism is extremely important, and we have not explored that to the fullest. There's the sugar industry, because a holistic approach to sugar industry will create tremendous amount of. We need overall 20,000 acres to satisfy our needs in sugar. Now, you're just not going to use the bagasse to fuel the factory. You use our natural gas to fuel the factory. When I researched it, that's what they do in Louisiana, and they feed for cattle. And Caroni has done that for years. The Buffalo Ipso and so on. So we have now, once you have an integrated industry, there are several things that can be done. Okay? So with the paper now, we recycle at the moment. We are collecting all this Waste Guardian and waste newspapers and shipping it abroad. We should be able to use that and develop our own paper industry.
Nominal recycling and so on.
I think they're bundling rather than recycling.
Okay, well, okay.
Now recycling, just imagine that we say we have a Ministry of Recycling. Do you know 75% of a tire is the actual casing?
But we have a Ministry of Recycling in this country, you know. Yeah. We're recycling all them old politicians. Year after year, election after election. You don't find so? Eric, how you like that one? Eric?
I'm wondering if there's value in that.
No, there's no value. There's no value in that. There's no value. We're recycling the wrong thing. Go ahead, Wade.
But recycling is you're putting people to work in all sorts of things.
And it promotes the environment.
There are two young graduates from Delhi University. They were seeing Zoot all over in Delhi. Do you know they've harnessed the collection of that and making out of that fiber, they're making things with it? That's the cigarette.
Yeah, I know. I know what a zut.
Cigarette butt.
I wonder if the young listeners know what a zut. I know.
That's why
I was going to explain it to them.
That's
but-
why I
Yes,
explained
yes,
it,
yes.
right?
It's a generational
I'm
thing.
I'm saying once we can experiment. Today I got 4 rubber trees, right? I went down Labray. I picked up 4 rubber trees. I planted it. Now all 3 starts, How do you think the bamboo? Massive explosion
We
in
should
bamboo.
bring the Chinese to teach us. That.
No, right close to us. Ecuador has a flourishing bamboo industry that they make houses, they make all sorts of things with it. So I'm saying the opportunities are so exciting. It's easy for us to get depressed. We don't have oil money again and to get depressed. But I'm saying so many things we can. Propensity to import overall is over 90% in my view. You can look at everything you eat, even the chicken you eat, even the egg you eat. The U.S. imported component is very high. So I'm saying we can bring down our propensity to import in a very structured manner. So within 5 years, that is reduced to less than 50%. Coffee we can grow here and produce. Just imagine our local, everything from Brazil.
Cut out.
The local.
Yeah.
What's the
Hong Wing?
Hong Wing.
Yeah, you're right.
I was so excited to buy Hong Wing. I said, at least it's
it
local.
was Trinidad.
They say it's Brazilian coffee.
Oh my.
Why?
Yeah.
Why can't we produce coffee for ourselves?
True.
Even if we have to pay a premium price for it, let us do it. India has adopted the policy: grow local, buy local, and many countries is going to be reversed. It's going to be reversed. Now, I made the point, we produce no fibers at all. But hemp is a wonderful product to produce fiber, the denim that we had.
Yeah. Veer, as you say, I don't know if we have exchanged on this program on your views on the marijuana industry. Have we discussed that yet? Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I think we have experts. I think the other day they caught us skills. How do we best use it for medical purposes? I think.
And that's where the laboratories come in. There's something called CDB, the oil summit, and that is where the money is. It's huge money.
Well, I just planted. What I'm saying, Ken, and listeners, there's so many opportunities. It's easy for us to get depressed and don't do anything. I imported some the sandalwood seeds. Out of 10, 3 grew. Germany. It's $150,000 a ton.
For sandalwood.
For sandalwood.
Yes.
And I think the African blackwood, which is about $1,000 a ton. Of course, it will take 90 years. But if we had started 90 years ago, where would we have been today?
True.
When we had shut down Caroni, if we had planted all with teak and mahogany and all of that. Remember one of his first speeches, he said that he's going to concentrate on reforestation. And he said he saw some trees growing if he had done that 10 years ago and so on. So I was very excited about possibilities, but nothing happened.
As you said, teak. Tanteak, we shut down Tanteak. And what became of the teak forests?
People are enjoying themselves with it.
Look at that.
And exporting as well. We have people in Trinidad exporting teak and they're adding value there. Why can't we add value here? It's one of the best woods to make the dashboards and so on for boats.
Look at that.
So there's we exported teak already to India. So if we had a vibrant industries, let's put the possibilities, right? Plank for diversification. Suppose within 5 years, we are saying we are going to supply all the furniture and so on to courts. We already have outlets, right? A lot of furniture outlets. We are telling courts that within 5 years you have to buy 50-60% locally. But we have the universities teaching people how to make world-class furniture. Is it IKEA? I don't know if you heard about the story. It was a young fellow, A young fellow, he used to, apart from studies, he used to distribute papers in the morning. And he got the idea of furniture, knockdown furniture, and that's how he started. And he's one of the world. So why can't we do it? But no, we are importing from Indonesia. We are importing from Malaysia and so on, from the Far East. If you look at some of the mahogany items produced in Barbados, is world class. And those are all heritage design. So all those things, that is what we should be cultivating in Trinidad and Tobago from imports. And it can be done. the question of agro-processing is extremely important because that will go hand in hand with agriculture. Now we are saying, okay, if you look at the story of avocado, there was a fellow from California who discovered a particular type of avocado. That was stolen and it went to Mexico. And you have avocado cartels in Mexico now running the show. Yes.
It's a huge industry.
Huge industry.
Massive industry. They
now we can say, look, that avocado, you cannot, it's not true. That's what you make guacamole with. So we can do all those industries in terms of processing and get going. Mangoes are dropping like flies all over, and it's one of the most healthy fruit that you can get in the world. So we need to get back and say, okay, we need support and policy support from the government. When decide, look, we are not going to import any tomatoes, we're not going to import lettuce, we're not going to import chicken, and they've done it in Barbados. The normal objection to that will be in contravention of WTO and all of that. No problem. The World Trade Organization, first of all, association, Global Tomato Association, going to stomp on Trinidad and Tobago. Secondly, we can ask Barbados, how did they get around that objection? They'll tell us. Thirdly, we can say you can import what you want, but we are not giving you scarce foreign exchange to do that. Nobody can stop us how we allocate our foreign exchange. And therefore, government policy with regard to exchange is extremely important when we're diversifying an economy. The second major variable that government has to deal with, and perhaps that is why one of the callers said I'm against the middle class, is that the foreign exchange, the rate cannot be overvalued as we now have.
But I don't see that as a criticism of the middle class. I see that as a healthy economic proposal.
It has to be. There's no country in the world that develops the economy and diversify the economy with an overvalued currency, and that is what. But successive governments are so scared to deal with it because the implications are enormous. Immediately everything goes up. However, if it encourages a long run, we will have a sustainable economy.
Let's hear this caller. Good afternoon, welcome. Hello, good afternoon, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Siram.
Yes, sir.
You just speaking about the dollar, and I have a serious problem with that. You know, the number crunchers at central bank, that there are persons who have money stored just waiting on a devaluation. And you know, Mr. Siram, that when you devalue your dollar at a time when you are most unable to defend, what you could have happening is runaway dollar. And at the end of the day, dollar might reach to such a stage where the man in the street will have a problem in getting a loaf of bread. So that is one of the main problems I have with devaluation. And when we talk, I think, to romanticize, I think that is something you ought to be scared of. When you ask the opposition leader, she said she would let market forces determine the value of the dollar.
No.
I say be very careful when you talk about the value of the dollar and devaluation.
I agree with you. Caller, I fully agree with you. Never advocated a free exchange rate. I never did. I used to manage the treasury. They tried that. When you allow a currency to float indefinitely, what happens? There's perpetual devaluation, because if I expect a devaluation tomorrow, I'll become a speculator that will drive the currency further into devaluation. You have to move the currency but fix it. I do not agree in open devaluation as they did in Jamaica, as they did in Guyana. And suddenly you really pauperize the whole country overnight. And however, I want to ask the question, because when our currency is exhausted, we don't have any reserves, as happened in 1987. By 1987, we were down to $2 in reserve, 260. From a very high of about $3 to $4 billion just a few years ago. By the 1990s, we had zero reserves. When you have zero reserves, at that point in time, who cares about the exchange rate? It has to be, how do we preserve and best use the reserves that we now have? How do we conserve it and best use it? If tomorrow now somebody comes, and we cannot worship the free market, somebody comes, and I use this as an analogy, a Trinidadian Branson said he wants $7 billion to buy a ticket to the moon, and he's willing to pay 8 for one. What are you going to do? If somebody say, I want to go and buy a fleet of...
Speculation.
This is too much speculation.
Yeah.
We cannot afford it as a country, and that's why I asked the question many times, is that
Market forces.
who owns the foreign exchange in Trinidad? It's not the banks. Now let me come back to your question about hoarding.
Quickly, we had into...
You're closing off, right?
Go ahead, you have time.
Yeah. Have you seen, first of all, the government should not have allowed an increase in foreign holdings from, I think, 20 to 25% for the insurance companies. They should not have done it at this point in time. Secondly, there's no control. Banks, the percentage of the banks' investments in US dollars. And if you look at the banks, I haven't looked at the recent numbers, $2-3 billion US dollars is tied up by the banks away. And you're right, they are waiting for a devaluation. And we can curb it. Central bank can make a rule that do not keep more than X amount of your portfolio in US dollars investments. That is easy to control. Central bank can do that overnight with the assistance of the government.
So this entire matter of whether we're going to devalue has to be properly managed, is the point you're making?
It has to be done within a policy to truly diversify. But I'm saying those are the two major variables available to the government in terms of diversification.
Right.
Even if they don't have any other policy to support agriculture or agro-processing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If those two things are changes in society.
Right. So it's part of an entire package.
That's the only variable left.
Indeed.
Or two variables left.
Vade, you have an article in the press this week. Just mention it briefly.
Yes, I did.
Where
not good for TNT.
Right. So read Vade there. Try to get that. And I find the time goes a little faster when you hear Vade. It goes a little faster whenever you hear. We want to thank Vade Seeram very much. Thank you, Vade, for being here, for your analysis. I hope, and we have a larger audience on YouTube, and I hope they were able to learn as I expect they would have from having Vade. So as we go, Ann and I go, we thank you very much for being with us, those who were on the radio, those who logged on to us at 975radio.com and our youtube.com, of course, RCLU 975. We thank our colleague Shiva Parasram for those wonderful pictures and for giving us that social media coverage. We thank Vade very much. Ann and I aim to be back here at 3 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday, in which we will continue the discussions. But long before that, Kenrick and Mukesh on the morning show, number one morning show, 6 to 9. And long before, wonderful entertainment from 6 p.m. And our colleague Aruna comes in to give us the newscast in the next few minutes. Thank you very much. Have safe on the roads if you are driving. Have yourself a great evening, everyone.
Quality Supermarket, Sheikh Elisha Limited, and the Trinidad and Tobago News Day.